Today is the second day of reading Guru Leela Part 2. I begin with the foreword by Bhaktan Ebril, followed by Rajesh Kamath, and Chapter 1 of Guru Leela Part 2. Mohanji, the Mystique Messenger. I first met Mohanji at his program at Yogaville in Virginia, USA, where I was living at the time. Here's a brief summary of what Mohanji did for me in the few hours I spent with him. Mohanji settled a few questions I had about making the transition between a normal human being and a master or a god man. Unlike the four masters I've known personally, Mohanji was very candid in answering from his personal experiences. One story was about an extended period of time when, as a director of a large company in Dubai, Mohanji could not always remember what he was supposed to be doing in the world or even what his name was. His clever and funny ways of working through his face gave me the confidence to begin to release my stranglehold on my personal identity. At another time, Mohanji took me aside to answer my question about the advantages and disadvantages of delivering Shaktipat. His unrehearsed answer was the most complete dissertation I've ever heard or read on the subject. It laid all my doubts permanently to rest. I then asked Mohanji for two gifts. The first gift to empower me to deliver the same Shaktipat that he does. In the 3 years since he granted his impartation, the power has stayed on in me, steadily increasing. It's impossible to describe. I might call it a fullness that exudes or an opening passageway to limitless potential. Since his one condition was to impart it only to those who ask, I've only had but a dozen or so opportunities to pass it on. But every one of those has been overwhelming, transforming, super encouraging experiences for both myself and for the recipient. The second gift, to empower me to carry out my mission in this life, to turn the face of Christianity to Jesus. Mohanji asked, "Who do you mean by Jesus?" I said, "The real Jesus. The one who is here now," he said. "I will do that." In the time since, a deeper level of revelation and a dramatic increase in the quality of my writing craftsmanship has enabled me to finish my 25-year writing project, Spirit of Fire. I respect Mohanji as one of the rare, very few who are trusted by the sovereign God, Lord, not only to receive but to pass on priceless gifts and teachings, along with the power that activates them. Who is Mohanji? Rajesh Kamath, Bangalore, India. The scriptures say it is extremely rare to get a human birth. Among human beings, it is extremely rare to have a desire for spiritual evolution. Among those who have the desire for spiritual evolution, it is extremely rare to meet a guru, a master connected to the source, as opposed to an acharya teacher. Among those that met a guru, it is extremely rare to get the grace of guru's protection. This book outlines the experiences of the extremely fortunate few who have had the rare grace of Guru Mohanji in their lives. Their stories of transformation stand testament to the immeasurable significance placed by the scriptures on the Guru's grace. I have been following Mohanji for 6 years and living in close proximity to him for 4 years. Yet, whenever I am asked the question, "Who is Mohanji?" I am stumped by how to answer that question. The words from Meher Baba's American Aarti come to mind. How can one fathom your fathomless being? How can we know you? We see with gross eyes. A glimpse of your shadow has blinded our seeing. How could your glory ever be realized? Should I talk about his transformational touch and the numerous miracles that abound in the lives of those that have had the invaluable blessing of his presence? Given his understated presence, these descriptions are just the quintessential tip of the iceberg. Most of what he does is kept hidden, and the minuscule that is revealed is only done to strengthen the faith of those that witness. And when these experiences are shared to make the tradition's presence felt. Should I talk about what other contemporary masters have revealed about him and his stature? Or what has been heralded by masters who have left the body a long time ago? Or by what has been said to his Nari astrology scripts that I had the privilege of listening to? While that may give people a view into his true standing as on a rational level, it is not possible to realize that truth, much less use it in a palpable way for our own spiritual evolution. Should I talk about the immense impact that he has made in the world on a daily basis? That he has that on daily basis hundreds of lives are physically touched by him. Thousands are impacted by his words, both spoken and written, and the hundreds of thousands are benefited by his followers through his spiritual legacy of practices and through selfless service. Here again, the true import of his activities is largely unseen, as we can only see a part of the grand play conceived by him through the tiny window of his physical body. Like the famous fable of the blind man and the elephant, all of these only provide glimpses of Mohanji's stature. The second paragraph from the same American Aarti of Meher Baba describes the impossibility of attempting to gauge a master's stature except what he chooses to reveal himself. Thoughts cannot reach you, and words cannot speak you. The infinite ocean of unending bliss. Though we beseech you, how can we seek you? How can the finite know limitless? In my humble opinion, we can never know the absolute answer to who is Mohanji until we become him. Until such time, a more appropriate question for me to answer would be, who is Mohanji for me? Having been with him at such close proximity for a fairly long time, I have had the opportunity to closely observe how he conducts himself. I have always found that he perfectly and consistently demonstrates his teachings by living them and exemplifying them through his life. This high bar that he sets for us on a daily basis is for me the gold standard of how to live a human life. It gives me a real example of the highest human potential that is achievable and what it means to live a liberated existence. This is why I follow him, and I have chosen to dedicate my life in service to his mission. My endeavor in life is to imbibe his principles of living, which I call the Ten Commandments of Mohanji, and emulate them in my own life to connect with Mohanji ever more deeply and thus merge into his consciousness. Accept people no matter what. Mohanji never judges another. He accepts people as they are. Meeting and parting are karma bound. Each new meeting is a clean slate for him, sans judgments, and untarnished by past experiences. So the word rejection does not exist in his dictionary. This applies even for people who have wronged him blatantly and repeatedly in the past. He often repeats that little Babaji once told him, in our tradition, there is only our beta, come my child, never jao beta, go away my child. Similarly, we should allow and accept people gracefully. Being Mohanji is expressing unity and universality. If people bother us, it means that we are still expressing our individual selves and there is a separation between us and Mohanji. Be positive. Anyone who meets Mohanji walks away optimistic and positive, no matter how negative they were or what baggage they came with. At the same time, he does not allow their negativity to impact him. We need to think positively. talk positively and act positively so that whoever comes to us is positively impacted no matter what their current disposition. Similarly, like his oft quoted supermarket analogy, we should only buy what we want. We should refuse to take anything inside which is not good for us or accept anything that will sully our inner space. Mohanji says, learn from everything. Learn only the positive. Everything is your guru. Everything is a potential guru. Do not doubt, judge, criticize, or express anger towards yourself and other people. When you are unaffected by everything around you, you are friends with everything around you. Everything gives you a positive lesson. Then you are being a true child of nature. Everything outside becomes a part of you. You become that. Flow through life. Mohanji says that we should not take life too seriously. At the same time, he says that life is the greatest teacher. So he performs his activities with detachment, zero doership, but with perfect awareness. He just allows life to flow. He flows from one moment to the next and tries to achieve fulfillment in every moment. This is difficult, friends. We need to keep being fluid. This is the practice. This helps us be in the present, be like water, as Mohanji says. Live your purpose. How is Mohanji able to physically sustain the crazy travel, non stop meetings, go out of the way to accommodate people, and still find time to answer people across the world and direct the organizational work? The answer is the purpose. Mohanji is driven by purpose and purpose alone. With that clarity and focus, nothing can stand in his way. His purpose is the purpose of the tradition. He considers himself a projection of the tradition that has been projected for a specific purpose and will be withdrawn when the purpose has been met. At the same time, Mohanji is always clear that it is the tradition that works through him. He chooses to be completely empty within the takes no ownership of the activity or the results. Our ultimate purpose is liberation. We should make sure that this is the primary, secondary, final, and the only purpose at all times. No excesses, no wastage, no inertia, no delay, no tamas. We should also ensure that all our actions and expressions are the highest good and totally unselfish. Purposefulness is also detachment while in action. We are not bound or concerned about our action or the results of action. We should act with conviction and consistency for the higher purpose without attachments. Practice insignificance. Others before self. It is if we observe Mohanji's life, he always gives preferences to people other than himself and his own family. Believe me, it is tough for his immediate family members. But they are mature and know they can never own Mohanji. Everybody else is important for Mohanji except himself. His matters are not a priority at all to him. This makes our job even more difficult. We ensure his well being at any cost. People often ignore his kindness of finding time for everybody except himself. They unfortunately take it for granted, thinking it is to be a weakness or character trait. We have the tough job of standing in the middle to prevent it. As it says in the Bible, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Ganeshananda Giri had said, the only prayer of a saint is to let others be served before me. Humility is the hallmark of spiritual character. Mohanji had once remarked that those who represent him or are close to him should grow even more humble. As we deepen our connection with him, we should express greater humility in our character. Accept situations. Mohanji accepts everything that comes his way. He never resists anything, good, bad, or ugly. He accepts. Nothing affects him because he is always in the now. He always responds based on the merits of the situation in the present moment. His life story is a testament to this fact. Even with tragedy after tragedy rocking his life, starting with the death of his dear daughter Ammu, across personal, professional, financial, and health fronts, He demonstrated complete acceptance and soldiered no on with no bitterness, resentment, or negativity. Total acceptance with a cool head makes us more complete. Whatever we resist gives us pain. We should face all fears. We should accept everything that falls on our lap. This is the sign of truly living our tradition, the tradition of liberation. Born to serve, Mohanji does everything with an attitude of service. He never expects anything from anybody. He never considers himself as significant at anything he does as a favor to anyone. He does everything wholeheartedly and with an attitude of service and surrender without expectations. Mohanji says that practicing this insignificance always helps keep our ego under our feet. We need to think beyond ourselves and our families to what value we can provide to the world. We take from the earth, and it is time that we learn to give back in equal measure, if not more. As Mohanji says, every day you wake up, ask yourself, what more can I give to the world? At the same time, we should realize that we are doing selfless service for our personal benefit alone, since it aids our evolution. If we ever think that we are doing a favor to the world or to Mohanji, we have lost the plot. It is only when we lose doership and believe that things are happening through us rather than done by us that the true mass magic of deep connection with Mohanji happens. Expect nothing, have no agenda. Mohanji has zero expectations from people, situations, and life in general. This is very important. Specifically, he does not expect anything from anyone. He is neither really happy nor sad about anything in particular. In all the cases, he knows exactly what people are up to. Mohanji says, always give the very best of what you can give someone when they come in front of you. I always fill them up with maximum I can give them based on their eligibility. It does not even bother him if people do not deliver on their promises or even betray his trust. He always delivers what he can irrespective of their behavior towards him. When we expect nothing, we are absolutely free. No binding. Mohanji never binds anyone. Usually, the rope that binds is fear. He has no fear, nor does he give fear. This is a clear sign of the path of liberation. No fear, no binding. We are always welcome to come or leave. He never binds. At the same time, we need to remember that Yogananda said, if you consider me as your guru, I am all gurus. We may initially need to dig in several places to find and ensure that we have found a connection to the source. But once we have found it, we have to dig all the way till we reach the source. Window shopping and setting shop with multiple gurus is only a shaking cup, none can fill it. We should follow one guru and be constant with him or her, because only then can that guru take us to the final goal. Feed all, serve all. Feeding all beings, birds, animals, ants, fishes, humans is important to Mohanji. Wherever he goes, he carries biscuits, bananas, etc. in the car, and his first question when he meets any old, abandoned, or helpless person is, are you hungry? He says that all beings in the vicinity of our house must be fed before we eat, before we eat pigeons, squirrels, ants, the security people outside the house, etc. He first inquires and ensures the same before he is served. He says that we should share whatever is available irrespective of species. Further, we should use every opportunity to serve another and add value to our society based on our own capacity. We should give more to the earth than we take. This is what Mohanji practices every single moment. He says, you have always something to give. It need not be money, material, or possessions. It should be your time. It could be your time, your knowledge, your love, or just a smile. In some way, you can always add value, and that makes your life more meaningful. A life lived for others is a life worth living, Mohanji says. Acts of compassion make me happy when people spontaneously, without thinking, display love and compassion unto the society. It makes me happy when generations enjoy peace and love. I am happy when people love and serve all. I am happy. The well being of my fellow beings, irrespective of gender and species, makes me happy. The Ten Commandments above are my answers to the question, who is Mohanji for me? The highest ideal of human potential, where being one's true self is being everyone, being ordinary is being extraordinary, being meek is being strong, being here and now is being in all space and time, where silence speaks everything, stillness performs all actions, and emptiness brings completion, and where you can have everything when you want nothing. Leading on the golden path, breaking boundaries. I begin with the first chapter, my living master of cosmic stature, Amita Youth, South Africa. First meeting and cool shades. We made a pact in Shirdi to meet again at this time, said Mohanji. It was a most intriguing remark, to say the least, and I was all ears. My audio antennas were flapping eagerly. I so wished he'd tell me more, but it was not to be, and I had to quiet my curious mind and with much effort. That blessed August day of 2013 remains vividly etched in my heart. It was the tail end of a dry, high willed winter, and the biting cold was easing up in our little part of the world in the southern hemisphere. The morning dawned clear and crisp, the mist still clinging to the valleys, and they too dissipated as the early rays of the sun gradually grew stronger. Nature was gently showing off the first early signs of spring. There was an incredible air of stillness in Magaliesburg, a kind of hush, and the energy of renewal was palpable. What an apt time to meeting a living master. I remember it clearly. The atmosphere was surreal. There was an air of dreamlike quality about the quiet mountainside retreat venue, an hour's drive west of Johannesburg. A little group awaited the arrival of the master from India, each lost in their own thoughts. We were literally there at dawn, expecting the program to begin at 7 a.m. The hours dragged on, the sun slowly arcing across the mid morning sky. It was quiet and exercise in patience. Suddenly, in the prevailing quietness, we heard the sound of a vehicle pulling up the long driveway. There was a stir of excitement in the group. Mohanji was here. The vehicle soon came into view, but instead of stopping at the entrance where we had all gathered in eager anticipation to welcome the master, the car passed us and continued along the curved drive and out of sight to get to a comfortable parking space further away. I was there at Rihanna Gasper's invitation. She was the one who had told me about her master, Mohanji, a year ago and said that I should meet him. She had told me that Mohanji would be in South Africa in August 2013, his second trip to the country. I was initially quite excited at this prospect. But as the time drew nearer, my excitement had dimmed to the point where I decided not to go and declined Rihanna's kind invitation to meet Mohanji. It was 2 days prior to the Magaliesburg retreat. I was at work that weekend. I recall it being a quiet Saturday afternoon on the national news desk. There was no rush of incoming stories from our regional centers around the country. Suddenly, like a bolt from the blue, I thought of Mohanji. It was a persistent thought, and as all was still blessedly quiet on the news front, I googled him. Before long, I was reading, and in between taking care of my incoming news stories, I continued reading Mohanji's blogs. I was soaking in energy so beautiful, so divine and profound that I could not stop reading his blogs. I was not reading with my eyes. I found that I was reading with my heart. I was overwhelmed with strong feelings that surprised me. My eyelashes wet from misty eyes, Mohanji's genuineness, his simplicity, his humility, his deeply painful personal loss in the tragedy that claimed the life of his beloved little 4-year-old child Ammu. They tore me up. I also read that Ammu had been born on the 9th of November, Incidentally, we share the same birth date, but different years, of course. I could innately sense Mohanji's grief at losing Amu. My heart swelled and surged with the kind of love that breaches the barriers of an ordinary mind as I continued to immerse in the expansive energies of his plots. Though my feelings were intense and powerful, I was not emotional. Yet I was moved. Mohanji's experiences had touched me to the core. I felt like I had known him forever. Then I picked up the phone to call Rayana and, in a quiet voice asked whether I could still attend the retreat. The answer was a happy yes. So here I was in Megaliesburg, about to meet the master, Mohanji, in person. My heartbeats were so loud they sounded like drum beats to my ears. Rana was off like a shot after the vehicle, where we newbies stood at the entrance. Moments later, Mohanji came striding down the path toward us, flicking his cream shawl over his left shoulder. He had the most dazzling smile. My racing thoughts also registered that the master was wearing the coolest pair of dark shades, and he looked so friendly. I thought the shades pretty trendy and mentioned that to him. But much later, of course, he told me that they were prescription glasses. The glare of the African sun, even during the winter time, can be quite intense. I stood shyly with the rest of the group, not quite knowing what to do as Mohanji reached us. I should not have worried. Soon he was right before me with arms outstretched. I was drawn into the longest, loveliest hug, and as Mohanji held me to his heart, he said, "It's good to see you." Everyone present was greeted likewise. It was truly special for a big deal indeed. We were in the company of a living master. It was our first meeting of divine destiny with Mohanji. It was precious and priceless. He was so natural and easygoing. He embraced us all with loving energy and warmth. The joyous introductions soon over, it was time for lunch. To my utter delight, I found myself seated next to Mohanji on his left. He was at the head of the table, and a few others were also present. It's so wonderful to be seated at this table, having lunch with you, Mohanji, I said, to which came that ineffable statement. We made an impact in Shirdi to meet again at this time, and I did get the blessed opportunity to be in Shirdi with Mohanji. It happened in December, 3 years later. Awareness is the key, Mohanji. So much has changed within the subtle realities of my makeup since that first meeting with Mohanji 4 years ago. With speed and gentleness, his Shiva stature began the destruction of the unrealities that consumed much of me. I had been weighed down by such heaviness, not only in my body and patterns, but also the rampant emotion of my feeling world. The nature of stillness was foreign to my constitution until I met Mohanji. He has evolutionized my thinking, moving from analysis with the mind to contemplation anchored in consciousness. My beloved master has dissolved many of my concepts and continues to raise me to ever new levels of awareness each day. Over these last 4 years, Mohanji has accelerated the pace of clearing the muck and dross, the chaos and gunk from my feeling and mind worlds, stuff which had struck like glue over eons. Thanks to Mohanji, I have begun to feel my spine come alive again. Another personal discovery since meeting Mohanji is that I have fewer and fewer questions, even enough of entertaining a mind burdened by the weight of thoughts. Maintaining inner harmony, however, in spite of the thoughts and feelings, is very challenging. Mohanji says, awareness is the key. I know that harmony in the planes of thought and feeling is essential, and I would even dare say crucial, in the upward spiral towards liberation. I am discovering that this key of awareness to the growing stillness within me is a moment to moment application. It calls for due diligence and a determined attitude to keep treading the light path of true life. Do I slip and slide along this path? Of course. At times I feel like the rug has been pulled from under my feet, but I know what The effects are compassionately cushioned by my master. A ceaseless stream of grace. Mohanji is both a compassionate mother and a protecting father, instantly at my at my side in the face of danger. On a number of occasions, he has averted serious car accidents where I could have been seriously injured. Thinking back to them, I'm astounded at my miraculous escape each time. I wish to share briefly what happened on my two journeys to Kailash with Mohanji in 2014 and 16. They leave me astonished to this day, a testament to his amazing grace. My first experience is the Holy Land of Shiva in 2014 were tough on me physically, much as I would have loved to have walked the entire way. My physical condition did not allow me to. That wish came true on the trip that followed in 2016. I was in total awe and respect of those in the group of 2014 who completed the entire parikrama on foot. That year it was seriously tough going for me in Kailash. My pilgrimage was also on behalf of my family and ancestors. As the journey progressed, I was hit with waves of the most awfully intense migraines. They were excruciating and unbearable. At times, I thought my head would explode, and this body, it seemed to have doubled in heaviness. My God, what heaviness! I felt terrible at having to sit on my pony, Gauri, such a gentle and loving being. Her nostrils flared and she battled to breathe as she labored up Dolma La Pass with this heaviness on her back. I wished to get off her, but I was in no shape to walk. I am so grateful to that beautiful pony. I was only able to complete the parikrama because of Mohanji. He pulled me energetically, just thinking about how much he took up on upon himself from all of us on the trip humbles me. Our master took on our pain as much as he was karmically allowed to. During the long bus trips on our way towards Kailash, one could see and sense how much his head hurt. But he never once said a word about the pain. He just silently bore it. Ever since returning home from that unforgettable trip, the debilitating migraines I was prone to every so often have vanished. I don't have them anymore. They are gone. Kailash 2016 was a totally different experience, way beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I did no yoga, no working out on the gym, no cardio exercise, practically no preparatory hikes, and there I was going to Kailash. Mohanji knew of my desire to walk. At the start of the parikrama, he blessed me, saying, "Don't worry, you walk, I am with you." Hugging that powerful blessing in my heart, I began my walk. My beloved Master was my strength. He was my oxygen. He was my breath and he was my stamina. I was fully present in my body. I was energized. I was smiling. I was in awareness mode. I aced the first leg. It was as if I were walking on the winged feet. I was, oh, so high on my up on Kailash. My heart still sinks. On the second day, upon reaching the top of Dolma La Pass with my dear brother Warren, I saw Skand Vale's Swami Karuna in a little group that was starting to go down to Gauri Kund. Without hesitation, I followed them, much to Warren's consternation. But my dear brother was also right behind me. Those of you who have been down to Gauri Kund know how rocky it is and how dicey it is stepping on those boulders and pebbles. Our porters, including a little girl of about 10 or 11 years, were heaven sent angels. They helped us with such love and care as we inched our way down, sometimes on our all fours. It was arduous, climbing down, but we made it safely to the sacred waters of the Emerald Gauri Kund. Wow, we had actually done it. We were in the Divine Mother's holy lap and we stayed for quite a while there with her. My gratitude to my Master for this enormous blessing, it cannot be put into words. Then something happened. Just as we were preparing to climb back up again, I fell flat on the ground. My whole body stretched out face down as though I in Sashtang Namaskar. As I lay there, a huge boulder came rolling down towards me and landed on my red leg, pinning it underneath. Warren was frantic with concern. I could hear him shout anxiously, Emmy, Emmy, sis, are you all right? As he dashed towards where I lay and rolled the boulder off my leg. Though I was not dazed by the fall, it felt as though I was completely in another world. The boulder left felt like a mere feather on my leg. I did not feel its weight. I was not injured. All I suffered were a few surface scratches. It was yet another one of my beloved master's miracles in my life. When we recounted to Mohanji what had happened at Gaurikund after they had returned from the inner Kora, he showed me us his palms. They were bruised, although Mohanji was so far away physically. He knew what had happened down at Gaurikund. He had stretched out his cosmic hand and saved me. My darling master had taken the impact of that huge boulder which had rolled onto my leg. Such is Mohanji's all encompassing love, not only for me, but for all of us. He is a ceaseless stream of grace. Thank you. I will continue with the miracles in my next reading. Jai Mohan.